knew something was wrong the moment HR started smiling. You don't forget that kind of smile. It's the kind that doesn't reach the eyes, that stretches skin to tight. Practice just enough to be polite, but not quite enough to be human. I was called into the conference room at 9:02 a.m. My boss wasn't there. Just a softly humming Lenovo laptop, a legal pad, and Rachel from HR with her useless water bottle and a printed packet I wasn't allowed to touch. I sat down anyway. My throat was dry. Not from fear, but from knowing. Because 6 weeks earlier, I had made a mistake. I cared. I cared too much when the quarterly reports didn't add up. When the offshore funds showed up twice. When the audit trail got lost in the middle of a supposedly immutable blockade. When a line item for Q to legal operations was actually a thinly veiled shell funneling hush money to ex-contractors in Asia. I asked questions. Nicely at first. Then persistently, and then informally, to compliance, to legal, and finally, in a flagged email marked internal only, to our CFO. That email never got answered. Instead, this meeting happened. Rachel cleared her throat and began reading. Per Section 6 of your employment agreement, the company is terminating your employment effective immediately for cause, citing conduct disruptive to internal processes. I didn't hear the rest. It's strange how the body protects you when it senses betrayal. My ears filled with a high-pitched ringing. My hands stopped shaking. My breath became cold and slow, like my body knew before my brain did. This wasn't a warning. This was a burial. I had been erased. My badge was already deactivated. My email frozen. The Slack channel where I had dropped the audit screenshots. Deleted. Gone. Like it never existed. Like I never existed. Rachel slid the folder toward me as if she was handing me a parking ticket. I didn't touch it. Just stared at her and asked one question. You think you're the first person to sit across from me and lie? She blinked. Excuse me. I stood up. No, I don't suppose you do. You probably lie for a living. But I document for a living, Rachel. I remember. And I kept backups. Her face flickered. Just a fraction of a second. But I saw it. Fear. It was small, but it was enough. They thought they buried me. But I'm the kind of ghost that digs upward. And I had a plan. I didn't leave that building quietly. I didn't cry in my car. I didn't call my parents or my friends. Instead, I took a cab to a place I hadn't visited in 5 years, a tiny apartment on the east side of town, where my old laptop sat beneath a stack of boxes and dust. The one with no company VPN, no IT tracking, no fingerprint login. Just a folder labeled, if I disappear. Excellent. I cracked open the door to my old apartment with a key I hadn't used in half a decade. The air smelled of disuse and sun-warmed cardboard. Dust danced in the shafts of afternoon light slashing through crooked blinds. I shut the door behind me and stood in the quiet. This was my old life, the one I left behind when I traded startups and ramen noodles for quarterly bonuses and glossy boardrooms. But I never let this place go completely. Something inside me always whispered, don't burn the raft until you're sure the ship will float. I knelt beside the coat closet and pulled out a faded storage bin. Beneath old tax folders and a dented French press sat my true insurance policy, the red ThinkPad. No biometric scanner. No cloud sync. Just old school paranoia. And on it, everything. The audit trail. The photos. The flagged invoice. The internal. Slack exchanges screenshotted. And the resignation letter of a junior analyst who quit 3 days after raising the same concerns I did. But the crown jewel? A zipped folder labeled Arboros. I hadn't opened it in weeks. Not since I first noticed the inconsistencies. But now I stared at it like a live grenade. Because inside was proof that our company, my former employer, the darling of the tech finance world, had built its valuation on cooked books and buried lawsuits. They thought I'd be too afraid to speak. But I wasn't afraid. I was furious. 3 months earlier, I sat across from Evan Blake, the CFO, a man whose necktie cost more than my monthly rent. He smiled the way predators smile when they know no one believes the prey. I understand your concern, Leela, he said, stirring his espresso, but accounting's just as much art as science. It's fraud, I replied. Deadpan. Evan leaned in, dropping the charm. Don't dig where you're not invited. I'm not digging. I'm documenting. He laughed once, humorless. Careful, Leela. The last person who documented is now flipping houses in Utah. I didn't blink. I've always liked desserts. They hide bones well. His smile faded. Back in my apartment, I connected to a private VPN, not the one from work, my own. Paid in Bitcoin and routed through for countries. I opened a burner Gmail. And then I made a list. Recipients, Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, ProPublica, particular investigative journalist, named Dina Wallace, who once exposed a pharma CEO's off-the-books trial in Uganda. I crafted the message carefully clear, factual, anonymous. Subject line, whistleblower docs, multi-billion-dollar valuation fraud attachment, 237 megabytes of compressed, time-stamped rot. Before I hit send, I did something strange. I smiled, because when someone tries to make you feel small, they forget the smallest things can explode. 2 days later, the headline broke. Exclusive, internal whistleblower documents. Reveal fraud at Virexen Capital. Byline, Dina Wallace. Stock price, down 38% before noon. By 5 p.m. The board issued a statement. By 6, the FBI had called. But by 7, something else happened. Someone knocked on my apartment door 3 times. Then silence. Perfect. The knock echoed in my chest like a second heartbeat. 3 sharp raps. Then nothing. I didn't breathe. Didn't move. Just waited, staring at the door like it might evaporate. Another knock. Softer this time. Measured. I slipped to the side, crouched, and peeked through the tiny crack in the curtain. Evan Blake. Gray. Suit. Gold watch. No shame. And beside him, a man I recognized from security. Not a police escort. Not legal counsel. A cleaner. I backed away slowly, heart rattling. They weren't here to talk. They were here to contain. The expose had detonated, like a landmine. Dina Wallace's story trended #1 within an hour. Financial crime watchdogs were quoted. Former employees shared their NDA letters online. Reddit blew up. I watched it all unfold from the safety of my digital bunker. Then the threats started. Take it down or we come after you. This isn't just about you anymore. You're messing with powerful people. They'll erase you, Leela, and no one will ask questions. But I'd already prepared for this moment. Months ago, I'd written a dead man's switch, an automatic email that would trigger if I didn't manually stop it. Every 24 hours. Attached to it. Every document. Every internal memo. Names. Account numbers. Time-stamped fraud trails. Not just Virexen Capital. Their investors. Their shell. Companies. Their political donations. So when I saw Evan at my door, I didn't panic. I smiled. Because he had no idea what was about to hit him. I didn't answer the door. Didn't speak. Just let the seconds tick by. After a long silence, footsteps retreated. I waited 10 more minutes before moving. I opened my laptop and triggered the second phase of my plan. Upload everything. Not just to journalists, to watchdogs, to public forums, to encrypted blockchains, to whistleblower foundations, to one particular ex-employee in Utah flipping houses who I knew had been waiting for justice. The ripple effect was instant. By midnight, 3 C-suite execs had resigned. The SEC launched an official investigation. The company's website went dark. But that wasn't the revenge. Not really. The real revenge came 3 weeks later, when Evan Blake was photographed leaving a federal building. No tie, no car, no smirk. He lost everything. His position, his equity, his carefully curated public image. But me, I didn't show my face. I became a ghost with a voice. Every time he searched the headlines, my fingerprints were there. Every whisper about Virexin had my breath in it. And when the company's stock was delisted, when shareholders sued, when journalists called it the largest whistleblower takedown in startup history, I sipped my coffee and watched from a rented cabin in the woods. Because sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's the prelude to thunder. If you felt that revenge burns slow and cold, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more real-life inspired mystery and justice stories. Your support helps expose the darkest corners of power. Got a story of betrayal, injustice, or karma served cold? Tell us in the comments or email it anonymously. This isn't just storytelling. It's truth with teeth.